Come on, buddy. Come on. I need the desk. Hey. 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 Get up. I need the desk. Move. What's your... Move. Oh, God. Oh, God, you're mad. Why are you mad? Go away. Stop gripping onto the desk. There you go. Get out. I'm gonna start this video off by stating something we can all agree on. Sniper rifles are awesome. There's just nothing quite like the feeling of being behind such a high caliber weapon. That deep, weighty sound it makes, the intense recoil, and the unavoidable echo that gunshot creates is unbelievably satisfying. Especially when it's followed up by the rhythmic clicking of a bolt-action mechanism. And then there's the range. The boom that you get from pulling the trigger lets you know exactly how powerful this weapon is. But nothing hammers that home like seeing the bullet connect with a target that's miles away. Even when you throw a Hollywood movie silencer on one of these things, these weapons are still awe-inspiring. Because while it takes away the satisfying boom, it doesn't take away the gun's ability to instantly drop a target. There are three core pillars that make a sniper rifle so good and rewarding to use. There's the feel, the sound, and the look of the weapon. There's the long range, that arm's-length combat doctrine that demands precision and feels so utterly different from any other weapon. And then there's the damage the sniper rifle can do. Nothing rewards precision like seeing your target get instantly dropped. And nothing punctuates the look and sound and feel of the rifle better than that either. So even with a silencer muting your rifle's iconic roar, the weapon still feels great to use. And just think about it. Imagine if you were a soldier on the battlefield, or a raider in Fallout, or a mercenary fighting in the Badlands of Team Fortress 2. Is there a more terrifying thought than being taken out in an instant by a guy you didn't even know was there? I don't think so. So is it any wonder why sniper weapons are so prevalent in shooter games? From the no-scopes and quickscopes of old Call of Duty to even the boomer shooter genre with the Precision Bolt in Doom Eternal and the hunting rifle in Dusk. Game developers have long been willing and eager to give their players the opportunity to express their skill with powerful precision weaponry. This has gone so far that the archetype of a sniper has progressed beyond the not-so-humble sniper rifle. Shooter games like Crysis, Far Cry, and Team Fortress 2 have taken to allowing players to snipe enemies using the bow and arrow. But while this looks and feels very different, what's important is that it doesn't lack the qualities that make a sniper rifle so cool. A good bow and arrow in a video game can easily feel just as good to use as a good sniper rifle. When the sound design is on point, there's nothing quite like hearing the bow's string creaking, followed by the meaty whack of your arrow connecting with its target. When you perfectly lead your shot on an enemy moving at medium to long range, it feels just as good as managing to zero in on their head and pull the trigger with a rifle. And while it might not be realistic, these games more often than not give their bows and arrows equivalent damage to a rifle. So you still get that satisfaction of your well-aimed shot instantly dropping your foe. One of the most iconic and infamous examples of this rifle-to-bow pipeline is the sniper class in Team Fortress 2. And that brings me to the hero shooter genre. Hero shooters are all about allowing people to experience multiple distinct characters with their own flavors of gameplay all on the same battlefield. So it was honestly inevitable that these games would introduce a sniper character for you to have fun with. Team Fortress Classic had its sniper, which beget the iconic Team Fortress 2 class, which arguably went on to inspire the likes of Widowmaker and Hanzo in Overwatch, Kinessa and Strix in Paladins, and eventually Black Widow and Hawkeye in Marvel Rivals. And I'd say most of these examples do a pretty good job of realizing the fantasy of being a sniper, which is what a hero shooter is all about, after all. Shooting a soldier out of the air, getting that impactful medic pick, or landing that counter snipe as Sniper, hitting that grapple trick shot as Widowmaker, picking someone out of their support ult as Hawkeye. It all feels amazing. When you're behind the gun, that is. See, hero shooters ask you to take them a lot more seriously than a lot of other multiplayer shooter games. In, say, Call of Duty or Battlefield, everyone is just running around in circles shooting each other like headless chickens in a Dick's Sporting Goods. So, like, who cares if you get domed by a sniper out of nowhere, right? You're just gonna respawn in a few seconds and have another go. But the hero shooters we're going to be talking about aren't like that. These games have clear objectives that you need to be working as a team to achieve. Even the seemingly mindless slugfest that is a Team Fortress 2 public server sees way more planning and teamwork than the likes of an arcade shooter. Even outside of these games' dedicated competitive modes, things are a lot more, well, competitive. I mean, just look at these comms I got in a completely random casual TF2 server.
They popped. Buck banner, dispatch. They dropped you where they failed. They have a second medic though. Soldier med combo, top. Double soldier.
So, to put it simply, you're not just running around in circles. In a hero shooter, you're actually trying to do something specific. In addition, respawns aren't instant, there's generally a lot more care given to game balance, there's walkbacks to the objective, you have to keep track of cooldowns and ultimates, so it's a very different, much more stressful environment. So when you get one-tapped by a sniper in one of these games, it's not a moment where you can just say, okay, let's have another go. And that means it's, well, it's a lot more frustrating. Mother... fucker. Now, before we go any further, we need to define some things, and make an important distinction. So in a video game, particularly a third or first-person shooter game, what exactly is a sniper? How do we define this archetype? Now that might seem obvious, especially now. I've already given you 3 core pillars. A sniper is a character who wields a powerful weapon that deals high amounts of damage at long range and requires precision. That's her definition, right? Well, no. There's more to it than that. Those are the aspects that make a sniper feel good to use, but there is more to the archetype. A sniper is categorized by the following 4 things. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 we've already mentioned. The high burst damage, a long-range combat doctrine, and a playstyle that demands precision from the player. But number 4 is perhaps the most crucial, as it is both essential for achieving the fantasy and feel of being a sniper, and also crucial for game balance. And that's a mechanic that slows your movement and gives you tunnel vision while you're aiming. A sniper rifle has to have a scope to feel like a sniper rifle, and a bow has to have that extended pulling of the string to feel like a bow. But these things are also essential for game balance. By their very nature, these weapons are extremely powerful, and allowing you to have that power with unrestricted movement and the ability to easily flick to anyone who crosses into your line of sight would just make them unreasonably good. Why do you think quickscopes and no-scopes used to be so popular back in the day? It's not just because they were stylish, it's because they were a way to have all the power of your sniper rifle while negating the downsides. But anyway, those are the things that make a sniper a sniper. The high burst damage, a long-range combat doctrine, a playstyle that demands precision, and a mechanic that restricts your movement and gives you tunnel vision while you're aiming a shot. Now that we've laid that out, we need to return to that distinction I mentioned earlier. Because if you've played a lot of hero shooters, there are a lot of characters that probably come to mind when you hear the word sniper. The Sniper, Widowmaker, Hanzo, Kinessa, Strix, Black Widow, Hawkeye, all the characters we've already mentioned. But what about characters like Ashe from Overwatch, or Leon and Octavia from Paladins, or Hela from Marvel Rivals? Are these all snipers? Well, no, because each of them lacks one or more of the key ingredients. Let's look at Ashe. At first glance, her weapon looks just like Widowmaker's. She has the long range, she has the aiming mechanic that restricts her movement and gives her tunnel vision, so she's a sniper, right? Well, wrong. Ashe lacks 2 of the 4 ingredients. Her kit doesn't demand precision to the same degree that it does for an actual sniper, and she doesn't have the same high burst damage. Without all 4 ingredients, Ashe doesn't feel like a sniper, and while she might play similarly, it's just not the same. So what is she? Well, we're going to define these characters as marksmen. So let's look at Octavia from Paladins. She has the range, and she has the aiming mechanic, but she doesn't have the burst damage, and her kit doesn't demand precision in the same way a sniper's does. So she's a marksman. Now Leon from the same game. She has the range, her kit demands a good amount of precision, and she has access to good burst damage, but that burst damage isn't tied to her weapon, it's on an ability she has, and Leon lacks any sort of aiming mechanic. This makes Leon a marksman. Another example, this time a bit more relevant to current year, is Hela from Marvel Rivals. She has the range, she has decent burst damage, but her weapon doesn't demand precision in the same way a sniper's does, and she lacks any sort of aiming mechanic, making her a marksman. So with that all laid out, I suppose we can define the term marksman thusly. A marksman is a character much like a sniper, sharing their long-range combat style, but lacking in one or more of the other key elements. Now, all of this is going to be important later, so do keep it in mind, but for now, I need to actually introduce the fucking thesis of this piece. Snipers in hero shooters are not fun. And not only are they not fun, it is impossible to make them fun. Now that's a bold statement, I'm aware, and one that might seem a bit contradictory at first. Didn't I say earlier that snipers feel awesome? Yeah, I did. But I also said they feel awesome when you're behind the gun. Hitting a headshot and instantly downing a guy out of nowhere feels awesome. No one can deny that. But being the guy on the other end being one-tapped doesn't. So what, some people will say. Losing is never fun. Being killed in a game is never fun. So who cares if being sniped isn't fun? But those people are incorrect. Being killed in a game like this can still be fun. In fact, I'd say most of the time it's fun. To explain this, we need to establish what exactly about a hero shooter is fun. And don't worry, I'm not going to pull a YouTube video essayist and drag this out for 10 minutes. It's fighting people. That's what's fun about a hero shooter. It's getting into fights. And notice I didn't say winning or killing people. Those things are fun, yes, but they're not the main draw of the genre. If winning or killing the enemies was the most fun part of the game, then we wouldn't be playing a multiplayer competitive shooter game. We'd all be playing a tower defense game or something. or at the very least, we'd all be playing nothing but bot matches. But we aren't all just playing Bloons or Orcs Must Die, and we don't exclusively play the game with bots. Because when you kill enemies and win or lose in these scenarios, you're not doing it with or against other people. So, to put it another way, the thing that's fun about a competitive game like a hero shooter is the competition. It's putting your skill up against someone else and seeing who comes out on top. This is why being on the wrong end of a one-sided stomp isn't fun. It's not because you're losing, it's because you're losing so hard you're not getting to fight the enemies. So, with that in mind, why aren't snipers fun? Because you don't fight a sniper. Even if you're aware that the sniper is there, which you won't always, either the sniper headshots you, or he doesn't. And before anyone says anything, let's look at an example of what a real fight looks like. Let's say I'm in a game of Team Fortress 2. I'm playing Scout, and my opponent is playing Demoman. Now I approach the fight with full health, so that's 125 HP. Demoman's grenades deal about 100 damage on a direct hit, so I can take about 1 hit from his grenade launcher before even a cursory amount of splash damage finishes me off. This is a risky move on my part, but I push ahead anyway. The Demoman sees me running up on him and turns to face me. I hit him with a shotgun blast, but at my current range, that's just chip damage. He shoots a grenade at me, but I jump to the right to dodge, and it misses. Now, Demoman's grenade launcher only has 4 shots before it needs to reload, so he only has 3 more chances to hit me. I shoot again, but I'm a bit closer this time, so this shotgun blast takes a more sizable chunk out of his health. Now he shoots again while I'm still in midair, and I double jump to the left to try and dodge. The demo manages to hit me though, and ouch. That's 100 damage. If I don't kill him right now, I'm done for. Even if he misses a grenade, it might kill me with the splash damage. As he hits me, though, I hit him with another shotgun blast, and that's another good chunk out of his health bar. So, with nothing to lose, I run right into him, shooting him again for another big chunk out of his health bar. Now at this range, and at his current health, my shotgun blast will kill him. And also, while I'm this close, it's much harder for him to track me. However, while I'm this close, it's also easier for me to fuck up. If I take too far a step to one side, I might not hit him with enough shotgun pellets for it to be lethal. Now from here, one of two things will happen. Either I pull the trigger, it kills him, and I win, or I miss. Now if I miss, the Demoman still has a very good chance of finishing me off, but he might also miss, and I don't think I'm gonna fuck up another shotgun blast. Whatever the outcome, though, this was an exhilarating experience. This was a fight, and it left me fizzing on an adrenaline high that only comes from butting my head against someone else's. This exchange could easily go either way, and exchanges like this are what every single match of a hero shooter is built on. In a team fight, that back and forth, those branching paths, and that constantly shifting dynamic as people shoot, change position, get healed, die, use their abilities and ultimates, and make their way back from respawn is what makes the game exciting and fun. That little exchange with the Demoman could have gone several ways. He could have landed 2 direct grenade hits and finished me off before I managed to get close. He could have landed 1 direct grenade and then gotten me with splash damage while I closed the gap. I could have dodged all his shots and not taken any damage at all, and many more than I didn't mention. And that uncertainty is what makes the fight exciting. Engaging with a sniper doesn't have that, though. When you engage a sniper, there is very little uncertainty, because no matter the situation, one of 2 things will happen. Either he headshots you, or he doesn't. Let's take that example again, but replace the Demoman with a sniper. At base, a headshot is going to do 150 damage, so that's an instant kill. Knowing this, I try to make my movement irregular and pepper the sniper with as much chip damage as I can as I approach in order to disrupt his aim. Now, one of two things will happen. In scenario 1, he shoots, misses, and I close the gap and easily finish him off at close range while he's reloading. In scenario 2, he hits the headshot, I die, and that's it. Amazing. Either way, there wasn't a real fight. There was no back and forth. There were no branching paths. Either he succeeds in doing the special thing that instantly kills me, or he doesn't, and the exchange is trivial. And as a quick side note, this speaks to a larger problem with the sniper archetype, because even if the sniper isn't killing you out of nowhere, the threat of them doing it forces you to play in a way that's awkward and not fun. You can see in this Marvel Rivals clip a damage-boosted Black Widow headshots and kills me right before the first big team fight of the round. Now that was fucking lame, but what's worse is the rest of the game. Because that Black Widow never killed me again that game, and they finished with a negative KD. But the threat of them hitting another instant kill headshot forced me to anxiously cling to cover for the entire match. I knew that every moment I spent not in cover was a moment I spent courting instant death. And I was playing support this game, which meant that every time I was risking my life, I was risking us losing the next team fight. Now we can see the same play pattern repeated again in this game I played as Soldier in TF2. The enemy snipers proved that they could consistently hit their headshots, so I, not wanting to be insta-killed out of nowhere and risking us losing the next big fight, anxiously clung to cover the whole game. And every moment I spend clinging to cover is a moment where I'm not getting to do cool shit like engaging the sniper's teammates. So either I risk being insta-killed and try to push the sniper, which, remember, doesn't really make for a satisfying exchange even if he doesn't insta-kill me, or I play it safe and cling to a wall. Either way, I'm not having an exciting or memorable exchange. I'm not having a fight. Either I push the sniper, and either way the exchange isn't satisfying, or I don't, and the game becomes boring and stressful. And as for the sniper player, yes, of course landing that instant kill headshot feels great. But that doesn't matter. Now if you wind up following my channel, thanks by the way, that really means a lot, this is something you're going to be hearing quite a bit. Fun has to go both ways, or else it's not fun. I brought this up in my first video when talking about the defensive support ultimates in Marvel Rivals, and it's the philosophy I take towards multiplayer games, and particularly competitive multiplayer games like hero shooters. If an interaction or exchange between two players is fun for one of them, but not fun for the other, then that thing isn't actually fun. And just to be clear, we're talking about interactions that take place within the game's intended design. Stuff like trolling, that's an action done solely by the player, is different. The sniper insta-killing people on the enemy team isn't fun for those enemies. It's only fun for the sniper player, and that means it's not actually fun. Besides that, and of course all of this is just my opinion, but I don't find insta-killing people with a sniper in a hero shooter to be fun. I love playing snipers in other games. I love sniper rifles in Fallout, and I used to snipe a lot when I played Crysis 3 and Call of Duty World at War back in the day, but I just don't like doing it in hero shooters because it's not giving me what I come to a hero shooter for. When I play a sniper in these games, I'm not fighting the enemy and I'm not having a satisfying and mutual exchange. I'm either instantly killing whoever crosses my sight line, I'm dying, or I'm staring at walls because I've scared the enemy team into never showing their faces. To put it another way, I'm either making the game less fun for my opponents and not having fun doing it, or I'm doing nothing. And as a quick side note, this problem with not actually fighting the enemy is not a problem unique to snipers. The Spy in Team Fortress 2, as well as characters like Black Panther and Magic in Marvel Rivals, have this same issue. But bear with me, because that actually brings me to my next point. Before that, though, I'm sure some of you might be thinking, surely we could just make it so snipers don't insta-kill people, right? That would make fighting a sniper a lot more like fighting that Demoman in that one example. And yeah, you could do that. In fact, people have tried doing that. Strix and Kinessa in Paladins don't have the ability to one-shot people at base. The same is true for Black Widow in Marvel Rivals. The only reason the Black Widow I previously mentioned could insta-kill me was because she was being boosted by a friendly Mantis. But do you know where that got them? Strix, Kinessa, and Black Widow are all among the worst characters in their respective games, and they all feel fucking awful to play. Okay, so you're gonna have to take this with a grain of salt, because I haven't actually played Paladins in years, and I was never into it competitively, but I used to fucking no-life the shit out of that game, and I cannot remember a single time where I felt threatened by a Kinessa or Strix on the other team. Hell, I remember this one game I had with my buddy, where the enemy team had a Strix who was literally aimbotting, and he did nothing. All game. At their very worst, Kinessa and Strix were annoying, never threatening. And the same is true for Black Widow in Marvel Rivals. Black Widow is, inarguably, one of the worst characters in the game. But why is this? These characters still have really respectable burst damage. A headshot from a Black Widow only barely doesn't kill a non-tank from full health. Surely that's gotta mean something, right? And it can, but we need to consider what we're getting out for what we're putting in. I think I've undersold the amount of skill and precision you actually need to play a sniper. It's a lot, to say the least. And I know that if you're unfamiliar with snipers in a game like this, it probably doesn't sound that hard. You just take aim and click on the enemy gamer's head, right? And, well, yeah, but that's way easier said than done. You have to zero in on a tiny target from fucking yonks away, all while they're moving unpredictably, and you have tunnel vision because you're looking down your scope, and there's this visual overlay over your screen, again because you're looking down your scope, and your aiming sensitivity and movement speed are all weird and different, all while, depending on the situation, you're being shot at, there's a million loud noises demanding your attention, the enemy team is obscured behind 1,000 flashy visual effects, and there's a flanker ready to dive right up your ass. And that's just if you're using a rifle. Sniping with a bow has its own list of complications because you have to take into account projectile speed and drop-off. This shit is hard, okay? That's why games typically reward you for pulling it off with an instant kill. So when you pull that off, when you get that rare headshot, and you don't insta-kill your target, that feels like a slap in the fucking face. You went through all that effort, put in all that skill, just to almost kill somebody. Not only that, but you're providing zero additional value to your team while you're doing it, because, and I'm going to pick this up again in a moment, sniper characters are basically never given any sort of valuable utility. Now for a no-life god gamer, they can just follow up that shot with another well-placed shot like it's nothing. But for the average person, that was all just wasted effort. Effort that they could have spent playing any other character who provides way more value for way less skill investment. So, to put it simply, in these games where the sniper characters don't insta-kill people, they're just not worth the bother. Now you might say that a character doesn't have to be insta-killing people to be providing value or to be fun, and you'd be right, but a sniper does. A sniper does have to be one-tapping people at range, because if they don't, They're not providing enough to their team, and more importantly, they won't feel like a sniper. Because if all a sniper provides is burst damage, then why wouldn't you pick a character who deals good burst damage without having to deal with awkward aiming mechanics and tunnel vision? Why wouldn't you just pick, say, Shaolin if you're playing Paladins, or Namor if you're playing Marvel Rivals? And if you insist that you really want to be playing as a sniper, then you're going to be disappointed, because without your precision being properly rewarded, your kit just feels weird and unsatisfying. All this, right here, is why I said it is impossible to make a sniper in a hero shooter fun. See, I said earlier that characters like Spy in Team Fortress 2, as well as characters like Black Panther and Magic in Rivals, had a similar problem to snipers. These characters are all built around insta-killing, or basically insta-killing, people out of nowhere, which means you don't actually fight any of these characters. Either they insta-kill you, or they don't. But what separates these characters from a sniper is that the fantasy of being these characters is not itself wrapped up in insta-killing people. Spy is an infiltrator and an assassin, and he could easily fulfill that fantasy without his backstab mechanic. Sneaky, assassin-type characters who don't rely on one-shots have been done before. And as for Magic and Black Panther, you could easily turn them into, for example, brawler-type characters like Mr. Fantastic, and they could easily still feel like Magic and Black Panther. But the same is not true for a sniper. You can't make a sniper fun to play against while also making the sniper still feel like a sniper. Either they insta-kill people out of nowhere, and it's frustrating for the enemies, or they don't, and it's frustrating for the sniper player. To put this in a more modern context, you either have Hawkeye, the least fun character to play against in the entire game, or you have Black Widow, one of the worst characters in the game, bar none. There is no happy middle ground, and everyone who has tried to find that middle ground has failed. So to close out, I said earlier that snipers aren't given additional utility options to help them provide value to their team. Now why is this? Wouldn't some additional utility options offset how uninteresting the bad sniper characters like Black Widow are to play? Well, this is for two reasons. One is balance related, and the other has to do with the experience of playing as a sniper. The first is fairly simple. If a character can chunk your health or outright kill you from miles away, and be providing additional value to their team on top of that, then that's just going to be fucking annoying to deal with. We see this with the sniper in Team Fortress 2. The sniper's Girardi is one of the strongest tools in the game. It's a thrown projectile that provides an AoE debuff to enemies hit by it that makes them take increased damage when hit, and this is an instant fight changer. It's great for helping your team confirm kills and for blunting an enemy push. And this is on top of having other uses like revealing cloaked spies and extinguishing burning teammates. The problem is that it's given to a character who can also do this. A sniper who's making full use out of both their rifle and their Girardi is just too much to deal with. And you might, rightfully, just say to give the sniper characters a utility option that isn't that ridiculous, but you're gonna find that hard due to our second reason. You can't give a sniper an ability that's too weird, or in-depth, or complicated, because aiming and headshotting people is too demanding of the sniper player. Scoping in, watching a sightline, and lining up your shots requires more or less all of your attention. So if the game gives you a tool that requires more than a cursory amount of effort to use, it's either going to distract you from sniping, or, quite frankly, you're just not going to use it. The sniper's Girardi is actually the perfect example of this. The item genuinely takes a fair amount of skill to use. It's thrown as an arcing projectile with a blast radius, so if you want to use it properly, you need to be paying attention to where enemies are bunching up and you need to have good aim. But that's hard to do because the sniper's main tool, his rifle, distracts him from being able to do that. This means that most people just don't bother and prefer to use this extremely powerful tool for selfish self-defense and only selfish self-defense. And this is one area in which game devs seem to have learned, because in Paladins, Overwatch, and Marvel Rivals, they just didn't even bother trying to give their snipers interesting utility options. Widowmaker in Overwatch has her Venom Mine, a fire and forget trap that does basically nothing, and Hanzo from the same game has his Sonar Arrow, another fire and forget ability that feeds you a very small amount of useful information. Then in Paladins, Kinessa has her Oppression Mines, a fire and forget ability which serves to, as far as I can tell, mildly irritate people, and Strix has his Flare, which is just the fucking Sonar Arrow again. Then in Marvel Rivals, Hawkeye just doesn't fucking have any utility options at all, and Black Widow has a short-range stun, which is a part of a reliable one-shot combo, but people only use it for self-defense because who the fuck picks up a sniper so they can run at the enemy in melee range? And as if that weren't bad enough, the stun and combo are way too easy to pull off, and so it's not satisfying to use, and it adds nothing to the feeling of her kit. And as a quick side note, this is why, before Season 2.5, Black Widow had the lowest win rate and pick rate out of any character in Marvel Rivals. Her kit is just fucking confused. Why on earth would you give a sniper, a character designed around long-range combat, a reliable stun one-shot combo at close range? Why would you then make that combo so easy to pull off, it makes me feel nothing when I do it? I'll tell you why. It's because her kit is torn between being a sniper and trying to be Black Widow, and these two things have fucking nothing to do with each other. Why in the flying fuck is Black Widow a sniper? Look at any MCU fight scene where Black Widow is involved. She is a martial artist, and her weapons primarily consist of weird gadgets and pistols. None of this has anything to do with being a sniper. You know what snipers do? They don't move very much, and they headshot people at long range. You know what they don't do? Weird hookshot martial arts moves. And trying to cram these two fundamentally incompatible identities together means that nobody is happy. People who are fans of Black Widow don't want to play her because she doesn't feel like Black Widow, and people who want to play a sniper don't want to play her either because she doesn't feel like a sniper. I did that all. I'm not fucking editing any of that, actually. I'm not editing any of that audio. If it sounds like ass, I don't care. I just really needed to get that one off my chest. Anyway, where were we? Well, I guess I should do a final recap. Snipers in hero shooters cannot be made fun for all parties involved. And in my opinion, that means they can't be made fun at all. This is because if you want a sniper to feel like a sniper, they need to be able to insta-kill people at base, which isn't fun to fight against. And you can't make it so a sniper doesn't one-shot people, because then they won't feel like a sniper. And you can't add anything more to a sniper's kit to offset this, because playing as a sniper is so mentally and physically demanding that you can't add anything actually interesting to use. Their tools have to be simple to use, or else most players just aren't going to bother with them. This is the sniper conundrum in hero shooters, and if you're a game developer, it proposes an interesting question. Because despite everything, people love snipers. They want to be able to play as a sniper. But if you want to implement a sniper, then your choices are an insta-kill character nobody wants to play against, or a character who sucks. So which is more important? Do we give the sniper players what they want at the cost of making the game less fun for everybody else? Or do we sideline them? In my opinion, this couldn't be any more obvious. We shouldn't be sacrificing the fun and enjoyment of everyone just to keep a handful of people happy. Sniper rifles are awesome, yes, but like anything, there's a time and place for them, and their place isn't in the hero shooter genre. So what do we do with all these snipers and these hero shooters? Well, remember that distinction I made earlier? The easiest and safest thing to do would be to rework these snipers to be more akin to marksmen. A marksman like Ashe from Overwatch or Octavia from Paladins will never feel the same as a sniper, but they can still be a lot of fun, and I think they still kind of scratch the same itch. You still have to fight at range, and you still have to be somewhat precise, just not as much as with a proper sniper. And while one-tapping someone is cool, I do think there's something to be said for pecking away at someone at range. As for our guys repping the bow and arrow, well, Paladins already figured this one out. Sha Lin wields a bow and arrow, but he can't be a sniper for a pretty simple reason. The projectiles in Paladins cannot headshot. Like any of them. At all. And that means the devs had to think a bit outside the box when designing their bow wielder. Sha Lin is, actually, kinda like a brawler. His weapon deals high burst damage at close to medium range, and his abilities allow him to catch people in bad situations, trap them, finish them off, and easily weave in and out of combat if he needs to. Personally, given everything we know about Hanzo and Hawkeye, I think this is a perfect identity for them to have. Hanzo is shown to be more than capable with hand-to-hand combat. And Hawkeye has a fucking sword. And while we're on Marvel Rivals, just rework Black Widow so that she's not a sniper at all. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Seriously, look at any fucking fight scene featuring... As for how likely I think any sort of reworks are to happen, well, it depends. Team Fortress 2 is pretty old and likely never getting another serious balance patch, so it's safe to assume we're stuck with the sniper forever. Paladins is dead and Overwatch is still kicking, but if they haven't reworked Widowmaker and Hanzo yet, it's probably not happening. As for Rivals, well, the game is still young, so we have better odds, but considering that the devs don't seem eager to rework their various problematic dive characters and have given Hawkeye one nerf and multiple buffs since release, well, the odds don't look good. But hey, maybe someone will change their mind. Or maybe, when Rivals dies, the next big hero shooter to come along will learn the lessons that every other game developer failed to. Until then, well, at least I can point at the problem and feel smug about it, right? Okay, so we're back for another little post-video whatever the fuck. I don't know what you'd call it. It's not the outro, but so I didn't do one on my last video because that video was super rushed. That video was made in under 5 days, which was for my second project ever, kind of I think a crazy thing to do, but I think it turned out well. It did, for my second video, it did really well, which absolutely blew me away. Like the first video, my first video plateaued at about 200 views, and the second video plateaued at 3.7k. That is orders of magnitude better, which I really appreciated. And I'm not. It was made in like 5 days, so I'm not the most happy with it. But that's just kind of how the this is kind of how the cookie crumbles. So these are like kind of at the end of the video, especially in like my closing thoughts. I kind of didn't say what I meant to say the way I meant to say it, but like, oh well, that happens. And I'm not gonna like put like a clarification. I'm not gonna edit that video. I'm just gonna leave that as is. You know. So yeah, my second video did extremely well for my second video. I went up from like I was sitting at around like 30 subscribers to like I went up to like 200 or 120 rather, which was like absolutely crazy to see. And I got a lot of comments on it, a lot of like positive responses, a lot of, kind of reactionary, like not like reactionary politics, but like, you know what I mean, like reactionary, like hate posting, which, was expected, but, it's more so like funny than anything, right? Especially in that context. But, anyway, enough about my thoughts on that video, though. For this project, if you're a returning viewer, which is like probably not going to be a lot of you, but if you're a returning viewer, I'm using music now, which I got a couple comments about, which I'm still just audio in general. I'm still very not comfortable with, especially recording like this. There are people who record like other people on YouTube that I've been watching for years and who just make it effortless. They make it look completely effortless. Like, I don't know if it's just like technique or what, but I'm constantly struggling with. You could probably hear it in this recording because I'm only doing one take of this and it's not scripted. You could probably hear it just like mouth noises, like clicks and shit. And I don't know if that's like my equipment or my technique or what, but like there are other YouTubers I watch who will just have a run where it sounds perfect. And like so I was thinking about I was rewatching recently Civi. If you don't know who Civi is, he's a great YouTuber, but he put out a video that was a review of Sigil, the Doom mod. And like I can tell listening to it that video was kind of rushed out. Like the audio kind of it shows in the audio. So I guess maybe that's just a matter of like you do it for long enough where like you get enough perfect takes and you just string them together. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's if I were to like rank like the kind of process, the different parts of the process of making the video, recording and doing the audio is definitely my least favorite. I find that very monotonous and stressful, but maybe that's just, because I'm not very skilled at it yet, I think I still want to do it. Like, that's not discouraging me at all, really. That's just... It's just kind of is my least favorite part of it. And anyway, I got really sidetracked here. I'm actually doing this in like... I'm doing this in like... See, I was doing that recording in post-production, and this is like post-production. But I got really sidetracked there, and what I wanted to say about the music is that if, like, you have any thoughts on my implementation, on if it's too loud or too quiet, on my choice of music, if there's any music you think I should be using, I would appreciate those thoughts. And, so I wanted to give a little... I kind of hesitate to call it a channel update because like this is my third video and that just feels really kind of pretentious. But I kind of, if you want to stick around, if you want to like and subscribe and keep up with my upload and like keep up with me as a creator, I would really appreciate that. And if you are going to be one of those people, I want to give you like my plan for kind of my upload schedule. So I'm gonna my plan is to put out a is to alternate between a serious video and a less serious video, or a serious long video and a less serious shorter video. So you saw my first video was an hour long, and I followed that up with a much shorter video, and then I did this video, which is about 40 minutes long, I think. I'm not looking at the timestamp right now. But yeah, I think it's about like 40 minutes long. And so that's my plan, is to alternate between these longer videos and shorter videos, and to kind of work on them somewhat simultaneously. And I have vague ambitions, no concrete plans yet, of doing every now and again like a real long video that's like, probably like more than like an hour long, like a several hour long video. That's a really serious video, I could put it. I have vague plans right now of doing one. I don't want to say what it is, but I want to make a video about, it's an indie game that came out fairly recently, and it really fucking grabbed me. And it's been like real stuck in my head in like the months since it came out. So, we'll see if I get around to doing that. I want to do it because there have been so many times in my life where I have made plans to tackle a big project like that and then just not done it. So, if you plan on sticking around and watching my other uploads, here's a little game you can play. Every now and again, just comment, hey, where's that really long video you promised? And make me feel like shit and bully me until I do it. Maybe don't actually do that. That would be funny, though. It'd be funny for like a little bit, and then it would mostly just really hurt my self-esteem. But that's also kind of funny in its own way. But anyway, I don't have much to say, really, other than that. But thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around, because I've been wanting to make YouTube videos for years now, and it's like, this is like some of the most fun I've had with my computer in years, is doing this. And I'd love any excuse to make more. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that at that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.